Welcome to Alpha E5 Tarot, where we're speaking with the spirit. Today we have an interesting reading. I tried to do this reading so many times and they took us down multiple times. So whoever is getting this reading today, I feel like this reading is extremely powerful and this is directly to you. The algorithm of YouTube cannot stop this reading. For some reason, there's an energy that's stopping me from trying to get through to this. So that's why the cards are already set up. And we have the first card today, which is the Ten of Baskets. And this is your past love. And your past love have to do with a happy grill master and his family enjoying a barbecue, moonshine infused with dandelion root. Dandelion root aids with digestion. They're gonna need it. So what this reading is saying today that 9 times out of 10, your past love was coming from a family that was very family oriented, and they were very tight knit. And they probably had like this, they probably loved drinking together and probably enjoying each other's company. And 9 times out of 10, either you loved it or you hated it. I mean, 9 times out of 10, it was your past love. So that could have been the root of the issue for the past love. So the second card we have today is Miss Robinson. Now, in Miss Robinson card, you can clearly see in the image, Miss Robinson is proudly displaying the funeral program of Reginald Patrick. Miss Robinson was a hoodoo worker from South Carolina. According to the people in her small town, she was a sweet, law-abiding woman, unless someone crossed her. One day after church, Miss Robinson saw a few, let's say, strangers gathering around a woman named Mrs. Patrick. As Miss Robinson walked by, Mrs. Patrick said loudly that she didn't believe root workers should be welcome in church, and that was a bunch of made-up nonsense. Miss Robinson tried her best to ignore her until she noticed people started treating her differently. They were making up excuses for why she couldn't visit, and her clients started canceling appointments. It turned out that Mrs. Patrick was trying her best to destroy Mrs. Robinson's entire life, even though she hardly knew her. This is your present love, by the way, so please pay attention to this one. Ms. Robinson finally approached Mrs. Patrick after church and told her to never speak ill about her again, or she would be sorry. Mrs. Patrick laughed and elbowed her cronies and said this would never happen, so she might as well go ahead and root her today. Mrs. Robinson told her that she was made for root working, and that if she couldn't have what she loved the most, then neither would she. Mrs. Patrick howled with laughter and walked away with the other ladies, leaving Miss Robinson standing there furious. 29 days later, Mrs. Robinson's 9-year-old son, Reginald, died unexpectedly after having a cold. Everyone knew that Reginald was Mrs. Patrick's pride and joy. Not only was that her only child, also couldn't have any more because she was, of course, of elderly age. So she was absolutely devastated by the loss. As the mourners filled out the funeral home, Miss Robinson was seen smiling as she fanned herself with a memorial program from across the road. Mrs. Patrick, now totally broken, moved out of town the following day. So that's what happens when you mess with a spiritual root worker. So 9 times out of 10, this is the present relationship that you're dealing with now. And to me, this reading has a lot to do with most likely the person that's viewing this, because you probably take your spirituality extremely seriously. And obviously you would, because you're watching spiritual tarot readings and you're very keen into your spiritual hygiene and making sure that it's of value and upkeep, let's say. And Miss Robinson, just like in the story, was very faithful in her root working, and she was very proud to be what she was doing. She was proud to be who she was. 9 times out of 10, you're proud to be who you are. And the relationship that you are in, or recently, in the recent present, because this would be the present, 9 times out of 10, they went against your spirituality. They went against who you are. They went against what you believed in, and they didn't allow you to flourish. They didn't allow you to grow. So 9 times out of 10, you went into your spiritual work and your spiritual faith, and you pushed through and maybe they fell down the stairs a little bit. Maybe they tripped on their shoelace. Like maybe they stepped on the crack, broke their mama back. Like that's what happens when you're messing with workers and you're messing with people who's extremely tied in with spirituality and spiritual energies and know how to use them. And I feel like 9 times out of 10, you're most likely a powerful spiritual entity that was meant to change the world, obviously, because your energy is very strong to where you can affect other people outside of source, outside of body. And 9 times out of 10, that's the present energy that was in your love life. And I feel like in order for you to move on from that present energy, if that present energy isn't giving you the best of who you are, because 9 times out of 10, you have to ask yourself, are you feeling trapped? Are you feeling trapped by that person? Is that person not giving you what you want? Is that person not fulfilling your needs? Is that person giving you an unhealthy, an unpleasant, and dangerous life? Like, you need to stop it before it goes too far or before it goes too fast, because the only person that's going to be hurt 9 times out of 10 is you, because you're extremely spiritual. So 9 times out of 10, you're very keen into energies and emotions. So you're very spiritually in tune, and your empathetic energy is extremely high. So you feel everything. So not everyone who says that they have good intentions mean it, because they can come with the flowers and the roses, but if you know anything about the story of the Bible, I mean, the devil's the most beautiful person in the world. So they're gonna come looking very beautiful. That's the energy that comes right here. But evil is a point of view. So in a lot of situations where I create relationships with people as well, I always, when I talk to people, I try to make sure I look outside of my body, outside of myself, and I try to understand who I'm talking to. And I try to understand what life would be like in their shoes when I'm listening to them speak. So therefore, my empathetic nature and my empathetic energy heightens. And therefore, I see the energy that they're dealing with, whether they're telling me a bad story or a good story. I'm able to see their point of view. A lot of people are not able to do that because they're so caught up in their tunnel vision of what they feel. What will change the world is if everybody put themselves in somebody else's shoes. That's why they said Freaky Friday. So, what did I really invite into my life? And when I said I did, or when I said did that, right? So basically what they're saying is, when you invited that person, what did they say to you that got you off your toes, that made you say, hey, I'm done with this, walk away? What did they do to you that made you say, hey, I'm done with this? Keen into that, because that's the root of a lot of things that's going on in your relationship that has to do with the past and the present, because we're moving along from the past to the present. So I think that's a very common thing, is what did I really invite into my life? Don't let your mouth write a check your ass can't cash. So that's what I'm trying to say. Don't go speaking and go doing things, especially within the present relationship, that you can't somehow fight back with. So like if Miss Robinson is sitting there and allowing somebody to torment her, and let's say she says, I'm gonna do this to you, and then she go ahead and then she the other person is already aware, and then she goes and try to do it and it doesn't work. Now who's looking foolish at the end? So sometimes your best approach is to not say anything at all. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy, people? This is what I'm talking about. This is the energy that we're feeling today. This is the energy that's coming today. An apology may be necessary, obviously, because what I remember we went back a couple bulletin points ago. We said, what did I really invite into my life? So apology may be necessary, but the apology could be coming from you or them. That's why the next question is, maybe I have a problem. Maybe you do have a problem. Maybe I personally have a problem. That's the problem we have today, is that we have to hold ourselves accountable. So when we're going into relationships with people, we have to go 50-50. If I'm looking at them, that's why they say evil is the point of view. It's a point of view. If I'm looking at you and you're looking at me, we're in a relationship with two. I gotta question you and I gotta question me, because at the end of the day, when we bound this together forever, it's you and me conjoined as one soul. That is God. When they say you get married, you become one. That is God. Things may not be as good as they seem to be. He or she may be cheating on you. That's why 9 times out of 10, this was such a powerful card. This was such a powerful reading that was forced for me to continuously keep trying and trying to do it over again. Is because they were doing ill behind your back, and it caused you to do a lot of aggressive spiritual work to maybe appease you. Of course, obviously to appease you, because who we caring about? Ourselves. Who we love? Ourselves. That's what I'm saying. So he or she may be doing that to you. But am I purposely choosing to remain ignorant because I don't want to face the truth? So are you in a relationship to where you kind of hint that they're doing this? You kind of hint that there's some disloyalty, that there's some unhealthiness, that there's some unpleasantness? But are you purposely trying to not pay attention to it or acting quote unquote blind to it because you feel as if maybe the relationship has maybe a great importance, or you don't want to let remember the past card was a family. Maybe you don't want to let your family down with another maybe quote unquote failed relationship, right? That's how people who are of ignorance will look at it, right? Failed relationship, but it's really just another lesson because failure is obsolete. It's not a real thing. Remember, failure is extremely obsolete. When we're dealing with lessons, that's the lessons that come into life. It's never failure, it's only lessons. So when you're dealing with your family, you got to understand that you can't be ignorant because you're trying to worry about other people's feelings. You have to really keen into who you are, because your spirituality is what's the most of importance. Who you are is the most of importance. Your self-care, your self-love. You see what I'm saying? That's why Miss Robinson in this reading is extremely devoted and very powerful, because she cares about herself. And she's going to go through, no matter what, she's going to do anything to protect herself. No matter how you look at it, because remember they say evil is a point of view. So if you look at it like it's negative, that she did that, then it's a point of view. If you look at it as a positive point of view, that's the perspective. So perhaps no one likes to talk to me because I'm often negative, depressing, experiencing or expressing doubt, of course. So when we're dealing with, this energy, it's probably you probably feel a little bit, or you're probably someone that likes to dress a little loosely. You're probably not someone who is very flashy, and you're very probably most likely humble, and your energy is very just relaxed. You're not really too worried about what other people think or your other people's opinions. So for other people, it might look as often negative, depressing, or doubtful. But maybe sometimes you have to focus on maybe take your self-care and your self-love and maybe show it a little bit more on the outside as well. Maybe not go around with a dark cloud if you are going through something. Maybe express it to, because remember the past card was family. So I'm thinking there's probably some family issues. So maybe express it to maybe a loved one that you really believe in, that you really trust, and express some energy and let it out and really spunk up your life. Maybe allow yourself to have some change. Maybe this is a reading to allow yourself to maybe, all right, if you are humble and you are laid back, if you are humble, you could be a little more outgoing and put yourselves out there a little bit more. You also have to ask yourself, why don't I believe in myself? Why do I accept the worst possible outcome? Or why do you expect the worst possible outcome? So a lot of times you might be walking around, like I said, with the cloud over your head of thoughts and stuff that's like slowing you down because you're overthinking in the situation. Rightfully so, because there's a lot of things going on in the world where we do have to use our consciousness a lot more, and this may be one of them. So maybe you are being a little hard on yourself, and you kind of sending out. Remember, when you're dealing with spirituality and your empathetic energy, you're able to send out energy and receive energy. So when you're sending out that energy, you're manifesting that energy before that energy even shows up, because you're expecting that energy to show up. Therefore, you are using your power to manifest that energy to show up. You don't want to manifest negativity. A lot of times, a lot of people like to think negative. It might not be forcefully, it It might just be, you know, accidentally. You might just think negatively, just based off of trauma, childhood trauma, etc., etc. I feel like that's just another way of you holding yourself back, you know, when it comes to your abilities and your spiritual abilities. Like, start trying to expect a lot more of the better outcomes. Expect, hey, I deserve this love. Start saying you deserve things a lot more rather than I can't. Try to delete the word I can't from your vocabulary, because with the power of this spirituality, we can and we will do a lot of these things, and a lot of those are the mantras and the sayings that actually turns and manifests their actual energy, is because we're telling the energy that we will do this, because we're in power when it comes to the energies. We're not sheep to the energy, so we're not allowing ourselves to be controlled by the energy. We are the master of energies, or we're working to, or we're training to become masters of energies. So that's the second reading. It's very powerful, it's very in-depth, and that's the present reading. I spend a lot more time on that because that's what we're dealing with right now at this moment. That's what you're dealing with right now at this moment. So yes. The third card would be the Nine of Coins. The Nine of Coins card would be your future card. And that card would be what you're expecting 9 times out of 10, or what you're expecting to see more so the energy that pops up in the future. So if you see in the image, there is a woman lounging at home with all of the trappings of luxury and refinement. The woman knows you're probably jealous of her. So she dons and dresses with a pattern that protects her from the evil eye in case she doesn't work. In case that doesn't work, then she has a plant nearby, like a sarcania plant, which is said to protect owner from negative energy. You see what I'm saying? So 9 times out of 10, in your future endeavors, when it comes to the energy that pops up, you have to be very keen of the people that's most likely going to be jealous of your energy, maybe your beauty, maybe your, because like I said, we did a lot of work within your present, so you turned into that laid back humbleness into a little more, hey, I'm gonna go out with this skirt, or I'm gonna go out with this flashy tie, or this flashy shoe, or this flashy jeans, or this flashy shoes, you know, just wear something a little more outgoing, and really, like, I'm gonna be confident and walk in my confidence within my spirituality and within my outer shell of who I am as a human being within the matrix, within this world. And I feel like that's just the energy that's making you extremely, extremely capable of just attracting energies that that's going to try to test you a lot of times, or try to uh, check you. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be very much uh, protected. So make sure you're having your amulets, your crystals, your whatever you have to protect yourself, whether that be prayer as well, and meditation. A lot of things, your force field that you have around you. Make sure you could keep yourself protected while being more confident within yourself. Because the more spiritually strong you get, the more spiritual demons are going to be attacking, and the stronger they will be as well, because they have to keep up with who you are. And the stronger you get, the more, hey, they can't keep up after a while. So just keep keen into these energies, and make sure you're very focused into these energies. This is the first 3 cards, and we have 2 more decks to go, and we're going to make sure we get the best reading for you guys, because I want to make sure that I make sure the people who watch these videos, the people who's very keen into these readings, get the best possible outcome, the best possible understanding of the situation, so that they can be better people at the end of the day. And that's all I promote. That's all I want. So I went and got the liberty of shuffling the cards in the deck for you guys and putting them down in order for you guys, just to quicken the video, just to try to get the best reading possible. So the first card that we're pulling out is the 4 of Knives. And in this 4 of Knives, you can see clearly that this guy has swords on his back, and the picture is clearly of an ancestor in the background that's in the clouds, and he's walking up to this stairway that seems of heaven. They say on the stairway of heaven. So this could be most likely an ancestor warrior. And remember, it's underneath the 10 of Baskets cards, which was a lot about family. So this most likely is a family ancestor that's most likely working for you. And they're very a warrior type of energy, and they want you to continue to keep fighting for or keep fighting and remember the past relationship, what it brought, and allow that to motivate you to be more resilient and bring in the more and speak and say what you want a lot more. Because whenever I see knives, I try to feel like it's more of a message, like the tongue, you know, the sword of the tongue, or the tongue of the sword. So like I feel like that's the energy for this first card right here. So this second card is the Strength card. This is the number 8 card of the Major Arcana. And this card represents, obviously you see the picture, there is a woman or a man, whoever you depict, whoever you see in the picture is fighting off a lion that's like a savoring lion. It seems like the lion is very hungry for something. So this could obviously be the enemy, because remember, Miss Robinson, which was in the present card, she was in the church and she was dealing with this hater that was in the church that was trying to get her off her dean, and she ended up like basically putting a spell on the person in the church that was against her, and making sure that her child of the person get hurt because the person was hurting her, Miss Robinson. So just like the lion, let's say the lion had cubs, this person is attacking the lion itself except for its cubs. So this will be Miss Robinson in a more direct so I think the Major Arcana is basically the basis of the whole thing anyway. So like how I just said in the last deck of cards was how you had to stay resilient and strong and push through a lot of your strife. This is the card that shows that, and this is the card that represents that. And this is a very subtle card. It's a chariot in that power, and it's for you to influence others to accomplish one's goal. So you defeating this lion is gonna be extremely admirable from your peers, and remember your family. From this Ten of Baskets card, this whole reading had a lot to do. It started off with the family and the past, present love. That was the energy that was there before. Remember, the ancestors was working for you right here. So right here, you have to continue. Remember, this looks like it's the same character too, because you both got red. It's a very strong. It's obviously very strong, because that's the color. That's the card that we have. But that's also the color that's represented a lot within this deck so far is red. So the red is the passion and the strength. So you have to continue to be resilient in the now, because this is the present card. So you have to stay resilient. Remember what Miss Robinson did, leaned on her spirituality to be her attack. See how this card right here shows the 4 of knives, and it's the person, the ancestor, is walking up the stairway. Like I said, sometimes your strongest warriors is the ones that was before you. It's your ancestors. They're working, they're fighting for you to defeat that lion. Remember that. So in the future, you have the King of Cups. Now the King of Cups, for your future, remember like how 9 of Coins was like you were very dressed, and you become, if you were humble, you become more outgoing. If you were low self-esteem, you become high self-esteem. You become insecure, then you become more confident. This is the final outcome. You're pushing through, and you're standing out, and people are jealous of you. But while you're in this stance, you got to understand, you hold all of the cup to your love, your life. You work so hard. This is the energy that shows up. You are on your own throne, on top of the water of the emotions. You are on top of all of your emotions. You done worked and did the hard work. This is the final outcome. This is the future. This is who you'll end up being when you continue to do the hard work. This is the hard work that you put through. You know what I'm saying? From the 10 of Baskets to the 9 of Coins, we did a lot of work up here. You see what I'm saying? And this is the underlining the deep roots to show us like behind the scenes, and it shows that the King of Cups was the energy that popped up for you, which means that there's a lot of positivity to be shown here. Because when this energy pops up, it makes sure that it shows you the presence that you have a full control over your emotions. This is what I was stating. You know what I'm saying? You have an ability to have balance within the logic of what you're doing or what you're pursuing. This is the future. This is the what's to come. So expect great things. When you're in the midst of Miss Robinson, and you're in the midst of haterism, and you're in the midst of people trying to basically tear you down from your spiritual hierarchy, remember, at the end of the day, you're always going to prevail and fight that lion, because you have ancestors fighting for you. You're gonna end up always, and I mean always, on that throne. Okay, so the first card from this deck that we have is the Seven of Pentacles. The Seven of Pentacles energy is a more, I feel like when I depict on the picture, it feels like a very much an ancestral energy, because the first two cards on this side of the deck was very much ancestral and family energy. Remember, we had the warrior ancestor going up the stairway, fighting off everything that conspired, and we also have the family that was in the past life, that or past love life, that was very much involved in the relationship a lot more. So it seems like what we finally learned from the final outcome is that we're learning to trust a lot more within the ancestral guidance, and that's what the water on the flower represents for me, is the emotion. And to me, the flower is like we're building something, so we're building this trust and emotional bond with the ancestors, will be, which will be the trees, which will be depicted as the trees for me. That's how I just see it, and that's really what I feel from this energy. That's really been throughout this whole reading. It's been very dominant. It's been very strong. Remember, this is a reading for the masses, so if it hit, it hits you. If it don't, it don't. This is just what I feel. The person who's watching this energy is very much dominant within the ancestral. For you to believe in your ancestors' guidance within your love. The second card we have is a major arcana card, 7, the number 7. As you see, we had the 7 of Pentacles, and then we go again with the 7. So now we're very much in tune. This reading, like I said, the more you unpeel the reading, the more you see the reading, the more you see the like, you see how you if you see 1111 every day, you're going to start seeing the duplicate numbers to remind you that, hey, this is real. This is here. This is now. The energy is here. When we're talking about the ancestors is very much here. So right here, the 7 card represents. You see there in the fire. This is a chariot. You gotta remember that on top of that is the major arcana number 8, which was the strength card, which was for you to be resilient and fight through and push through. But now you have to take action and push through with this chariot energy that this 7 major arcana card brings. And it's like a twin energy. So it's like it's two things that's going on here. Like it indicates forward motion. You got to have your willpower. You see what I'm saying? And you see that it's like underneath it all is like a fire within the picture. So it's like within the turmoil, you have to push through. You see what I'm saying? Because the whole card from Miss Robinson had to deal with betrayal. From the jump, you already had to use your spiritual defense, and now it's time for you to put into action. And the final card that we have for this reading right here, for before we get to the last card for this deck, is the 10 of Sticks. The 10 of Sticks is, now this is your faith. Now this is you doing all of the work. You see how in the King of Cups, we have the water and we have the people finally have the final outcome. Now you see the 10 of Sticks, you see that you actually, your spiritual actions actually manifest, your spiritual defense, your spiritual fighting actually manifests itself, and you're actually staying present, and you're actually staying devoted, because you had to use the ancestors, you had to fight through with your chariot energy, and now you're seeing yourself manifesting yourself. You're actually seeing yourself in your power that you have within yourself. You're building your defense, you're building your armor, you're building your strength. You remain resilient, and that's just so powerful to me. And I think you should be extremely grateful, because at the end of the day, it's gonna lead to that love, because you realize that you manifested. That this whole reading ended up for you to manifest your own love through your own spirituality. And that's the beauty of this reading. That's the beauty of you. You're beautiful once you realize you're beautiful. You're strong once you realize you're strong. You have to believe in yourself. And the final card to show us what this whole reading is Medusa. Look at that. Medusa. So what do we say? What does Medusa represent? What is her energy? We know that Medusa represents the snake on her hair, right? When you look at her, you turn into stone. Why? I feel like Medusa has been through a lot of betrayal in her love life, within her story. If you know anything about Medusa and all of the Greek gods, you know that there's a lot of betrayal within the family. You see what I'm saying? And it deals with a lot of rage. And Medusa is very strong. She's very resilient. She's very like, she has a strength to her. And that's why we see in the middle, we have a very much of us holding our ground. And we have the ancestors holding by us. And these ancestors is very much like the snakes. If you notice anything about Medusa, a lot of the magic comes from the snakes. The snakes do all the work. All she do is tell them what to do. Because she's very much in strength and very much in power. She's been empowered with her strength, with her spirituality. It's become an armor, it's become who she is. So therefore, if you look at her and you try to remember this card, try to make it to where like when you're dealing with a lot of negative thoughts and somebody if somebody look at you like whatever negative thoughts that might come to you or whatever insecurity that might pop up, Medusa turns all those energies into stone. So it could be like you might even just like forget about those people, what those people might be thinking about you. Forget about a lot of those stuff. Like that doesn't matter to you because they're stone now, because they're not there. You see what I'm saying? Because Medusa has her snakes turning all of that into stone. Her ancestors are destroying all enemies who speak of ill to her. You see what I'm saying? Who have ill intent. You see what I'm saying? This is very powerful reading, very powerful. Number 23. You know what I'm saying? It's very powerful. And that's the reading, that's the love reading for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was very in-depth, it was very powerful. I feel grateful to just be able to just be able to do this. Like this is the blessing to be able to allow my energy to heal and guide people to find the love that they need, because we all need it, right? So I hope you guys like, subscribe, and comment under the video your favorite parts, what you enjoyed, what you disagree with. I love to know what you disagree with, because for me, I like to build and learn and create conversations. So what you love, also create conversations. So yeah, thank you.